Good evening, everyone, and welcome to TalentSprint. Let us see how many of you are actually out there attending the session. Let's say a hi to each other. How many of us are there out there? I know Arnab is there. I know Kirti is there. I know Jitinder is there. I can see your messages. Let's start the class by saying a hello to each other. Okay, I'm still waiting for some of your responses, boys and girls. Waiting. Hi, Arnab. Hi, Tanvi. Okay, so now that I know quite a couple of you are actually out there, session. So like previously already mentioned, in today's session, we will be discussing the last year questions that came in the SSC, CHSL. We all know that the SSC, CHSL, what the pattern is. Interestingly, I'm sure all of you know that this year the pattern has seen a slight amount of change. So before we actually go on to discussing the questions that came in last year's paper, let us see what the question pattern, what the paper pattern is now like. We all know that there's tier 1 and tier 2 to the paper. The tier 1 of the paper previously consists of 200 questions, which is now changed. Now you will have only 100 questions, which you will be expected to solve in 75 minutes. Now, let me pattern is like. The marking pattern is pretty much the same. You will be getting 2 marks for every correct question and -1/4, that is -half a mark for every question that is wrongly answered. Therefore, speed and accuracy have to go hand in hand for this test. It is not just about speed, but it is also about accuracy. Okay, now the 100 questions will be divided into each of the 4 categories of 25 from English, 25 from mathematics, 25 from general reasoning, and 25 from general awareness, making a compact package of 100 questions with 25 questions coming from each of the 4 categories. Let us see what the paper 2, that is the tier 2 paper, is about. The tier 2 paper, unlike the tier 1 paper, is EQ. It is a theoretical paper. It is a written paper. In this paper, you will be getting 60 minutes. There will be 2 questions. The first question is usually letter writing or application writing, depending. And the second is essay writing. So 2 questions, 1 hour, where these 2 questions have to be attempted. And you have the passing cutoff here in the second paper is 33%. Arnab is asking us a question here, if there is a sectional cutoff. No, Arnab, in tier 1, in paper 1, there is no sectional cutoff. Usually the cutoff ranges something between 125 to about 140. You have to collectively, the marks that you score in the 4 sections, collectively have to come into that category without immaterial of the fact how much you score in each section. And like I said, in paper 2, 2 questions, both theoretical, 60 minutes in total, and their 33% is the passing cutoff. Great. So without wasting any more time, I think let's move on to the questions that were asked in the previous, that were asked last year. So since the last year, 50 questions were asked. What I have done for this session is I have picked up 25 questions from those, in trying to ensure that I pick up the different categories of questions. So basically there are 12 or 13 different type of questions that I have put together in the baggage of 25 questions in the package that we will be discussing in today's session. So let's go ahead and actually start, look at the questions. Okay, so without wasting any more time, let's look at the questions. Okay, great. So if you look at if you can see the directions, question numbers 1 to 10 are actually a closed passage test. Now, let's first read, and then I shall give you about or so to solve the first 5 and another 1 minute to solve the remaining 5. Great. In the following 10 questions, in the following passage, some of the words have been left out. Read the passage carefully and choose the correct answer to each of the question out of the 4 alternatives and fill in the blanks. So we know that the closed test is a combination of fill in the blanks, theme detection, and a little bit of reading comprehension also. So I would say all of you take just about a minute and try and do the first 5 that I have displayed on this screen before we move on to the second screen where the next 5 have been displayed. Let's actually read them first. Smile, they say, and soon there will be miles and miles of smile. If we keep dash ourselves and do not mix with others, we shall be left alone to ponder dash the misfortunes of life. Nobody likes to come across a dash and self-centered person. People dash gregarious and outgoing souls who are prepared to share joys and sorrows and to have the dash to laugh, dash their problems, and I'm reading it only till the first 5 blanks. I would request all of you to take about a minute and try and answer these questions. Try and answer the first 5 questions. I hope some of you are actually trying the closed passage out there. I hope some of you are already trying the closed passage. I'm looking for some answers to start coming in very soon. Hi, Jyoti. I think you've just joined us. Hello. Let me read the passage once more for you. Smile, they say, and soon there will be miles and miles of smile. If we keep dash ourselves and do not mix with others, we shall be left alone to ponder dash the misfortunes of life. Likes to come across a dash and self-centered person. People dash gregarious and outgoing souls who are prepared to share their joys and sorrows and have the dash to laugh, dash their problems and miseries. So yes, how many of you have actually solved the passage? Extremely simple passage. Some places just prepositions to decide. Very, very simple. The options make it really simple for you to decide what should not come. I'm looking forward to some answers from all of you. Okay, so I hope that some of you are actually trying to solve it. So without wasting any more time, let's actually move on and see what the answers here will be. Okay, let's look at the first sentence. Smile, they say, and soon there will be miles and miles of smile. So if you look at it, you realize in a way that the theme of this passage is pretty much going to be about smiling, about the way we behave. Okay, so let's look at the first blank. If we keep dash ourselves and do not mix with others. Now, if you look at the options that you have here, all the options here are prepositions. By, to, into, and with. All the 4 are prepositions. And Arnab says that the answer to the first one will be D. I'm really sorry, Arnab, that is not the correct answer. Somebody else has given out the correct answer by saying B, option B, 2. Yes, that is the. If we keep to ourselves and do not mix with others, we shall be left to ponder. So if we keep to ourselves, to we know is a preposition of relation. So here we are talking of the relationship between us and the others. So if we keep to ourselves and do not mix with others, we shall be left alone to ponder. Let us look at the second option. Interestingly, the second option, into, over, upon, and at, are once again prepositions. There are again prepositions from amongst which we have to choose. I'm sorry, upon, option 2 is not the correct. Upon is not the correct answer. Let's read the sentence. We shall be left to ponder dash the misfortunes. Ponder, the word ponder, if you look, the word ponder is a big hint, because ponder means to think. So you never think upon something, but we all know that we think. Therefore, once again, option B, that is the preposition over, will be the correct answer. Let's look for blank number 3. Nobody likes to come across a dash centered person. Now, here the word self-centered is a big hint for us, because there is the use of the conjunction and, which tells us that the word that comes in place of the third blank has to have a similar thought process as the word self-centered. So if we actually look at our options, let us look at our options are kind, comic, glum, and unselfish. Now, we know that and comic cannot be our answer, because kind and comic are totally different, totally opposite to self-centered, and so is unselfish. So the 3 options do not hold, and the only option left here is glum, which Tanvi and Jitinder have correctly answered. The answer for the third blank is glum. Okay, let's move ahead. People dash gregarious and outgoing souls who are prepared to share their joys and sorrows. Okay, the word gregarious, any idea, anyone out there, what does the word gregarious mean? The word gregarious is used to describe people who are fond of company, who are sociable, who enjoy company, who enjoy themselves in a setup. So yes, let us look. Okay, so we know people dash gregarious. Of course, we that hate and dislike do not hold a chance here at all, because the obvious answer here in the context of the sentence is like. That people like gregarious and outgoing souls who are prepared to share their joys and sorrows. Let's look at the 5th blank. And have the dash to laugh. And have the dash to laugh. Dash their problems and miseries. Now let us look at our options. Our capacity, intention. Now, when we look at the options, anyone would like to try what the answer here is? Arnab has given us a try. Arnab has tried solving the answer, solving the question here. Arnab, I'm sorry. Once again, the answer is not feeling. The answer is not feeling. 3 more options I would like to try to this question is people sense gregarious and outgoing souls. Tanvi says, I'm sorry, Tanvi. Once again, sense is not the correct answer. Sorrows and have the dash to laugh. Again, I'm sorry, intention is not the correct answer, which leaves us with only 1, capacity. Now let us see why capacity is the correct answer here. Gregarious and souls who like to share their joys and sorrows and have the dash to laugh. Now, intention is when you try and do something, feeling that it's comes from within, and whereas sense is again in sort of an intention when this is the way how you behave. Whereas capacity here is actually another word that we are using in place of ability, because the capability to laugh in difficult situations is not something that a lot of people have. It's an ability, it's a capability, it's a capacity that is owned by very few people. Therefore, sense, feeling, and intention will make no sense here. Okay, so let me move on to the second part of this passage and let us look at the other questions from 6 to 10. Okay, now let us look at the questions from 6 to 10. We've already figured out people like gregarious and outgoing souls who are prepared to share their joys and sorrows and have the capability, have the capacity to laugh, dash their problems and miseries. Have the capacity to laugh, dash their problems and miseries. Let's look at the options that we have for blank C. If you once again look at the options that you have: on, away, at, over, on, away, at, over. Once again, these are all prepositions. Okay. So someone says the answer here should be at. I'm sorry, actually, at is not the correct answer. Let's go. Why don't some of you, or if you try what the answer to this question is, because at sadly is not the correct answer. Tanvi, I repeat, Jensen, I repeat that at is not the correct answer. Over, you, okay, someone says, Arnab says over. The answer here, boys and girls, is on, because you always laugh on something. You may laugh over a joke, but here what you are laughing on is not specified. Therefore, we use over only when you laugh over a specific story, a specific incident that was shared, or you laugh over a joke. But when there is nothing of that sort specified, you always say you laugh on. Therefore, people who are prepared to share their joys and sorrows and have the capacity to laugh on their problems and miseries. Now, let us look at the seventh blank. Laughter brings people dash, whereas keeping to oneself distances people. Let's look at the seventh blank. Laughter brings people dash, whereas keeping to oneself distances people. Okay, someone says, Jyoti says apart. And I think, and another gentleman by the name of Daddy, that's his name, have got the correct answer that yes, closer is the correct answer here. Laughter brings people closer, whereas keeping to oneself distances people. Now, what is the hint here? There is a word here in the sentence, if you read, where, and after whereas we have used distances. So we know that whereas always flips the meaning of the sentence. What the initial part of the sentence is means different from the latter part when a word like whereas is used. And we know that from amongst the options that we have, the only word that is pretty much the opposite of distance is closer. Therefore, our answer here for the seventh blank is closer. Let's move ahead. It has dash been rightly said that laughter is the shortest distance between two people. It has dash been rightly said that laughter is the shortest distance between two persons. Anyone would like to try what the answer to the eighth blank is? Let's try, boys and girls. The answer to the Tanvi says the answer is therefore. I'm waiting for some more people to come ahead, come forward and give the answer. Anyone else would like to try? Anyone else who would like to try what the answer to the question is? What should come at the eighth blank where our options are so, therefore, hence, however? Jennison says, however. Has said there. Jyoti says, however. Okay, let me give out the correct answer and then I will tell you why that is the correct answer. The correct answer here is B, therefore. Now, we know that in this sentence, we are pretty much trying to conclude what has been said in the above sentences, that laughter is something, it is the shortest distance between two people, between two persons. Now, however is something that will not hold, because however is also used when we try and flip. I went to the market, however, I could not get what I wanted. When the conclusion is not in sync with what has been said till now, it is in such situations that however is used. So therefore, however will not make sense here. So is usually used when there is a there is a string of incidents that have been described, which is not in the case here. We are just making general comments, sharing our views and opinions. There is no string of incidents here. Therefore, again, so will not hold importance. Now, we are caught between therefore and hence. Now, if you read the sentence, you can and see it. Therefore been rightly said, it has hence been rightly said. Hence is usually used when we try and infer something, when there is a mathematical induction or a mathematical inference happening. Therefore, there is nothing of that sort happening. This is not that we are inferring, because the importance of smile has been established very much in the first line of the passage. Therefore, hence will also not be the correct answer, and therefore the correct answer is therefore. Wow, quite a whammy. Two therefores in one sentence. Okay, let's move on to the ninth one. Once they dash together, the circle of acquaintance and consequently friendship dash, thus making the world a happy place to live in. Let's try the ninth one. Once they dash together, come, sit, are, go. Now, all our options are verbs here. There is an action that we are speaking of here. Though, yes, there is an auxiliary verb also that we have here. Why don't you try? Okay, a lot of people are, Kiran, Kirti, a lot of people are giving the answer. And yes, the correct answer here is A, come. Once they come together, circle of acquaintance and consequently friendship dash, thus make the world a happy place to live in. Let's try the 10th blank. The 10th blank grows, broadens, widens, lessens. Jennison says sit for the 9th one. I'm sorry, Jennison. That is not the correct answer. Yes, Gaurav, like we discussed, come is the correct answer. Okay, now the next one. As the once they come together, the circle of acquaintance and consequently friendship dash, thus making the world a happy place to live in. Okay, I can see a variety of answers that is coming there. I can see grows, I can see widens, I can see lessens, and I'm sure someone out there is thinking that broadens is also the correct answer. Okay. Let me first say that as in you meet more people, obviously your circle is going to become big in size. It is not going to reduce. Therefore, lessons is eliminated right there. Now we are left with 3 more options: grows, broadens, widens. Now, how is it different? Broad we know comes from the word breadth, and widens comes from the word wide width. Now, when you look at these two, they speak only of a certain kind of growth. Widen speaks of a growth in a direction, and broaden of a growth in a certain direction. But we are referring to growth as a whole here. And like Jennison and Gaurav have given the correct answer, the answer here is grows. Great. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to look at this passage once again, see if you have any doubts, if you're pretty much sure, and then I would move on to the next set of questions. Anyone with any doubts out there? I hope none. Okay, so I'm going to presume that most of us have understood the passage. Boys and girls, you must remember that I am going to hope that most of you have understood the passage, boys and girls, because you must actually remember, after looking at the passage, this is one of the simplest passages that you could have probably got. There are no close calls here where meanings of words are very confused as to what the correct answer would be. Most of them were prepositions based. So if you have a correct understanding of prepositions, a basic understanding of vocabulary, you will pretty much glide through a close passage as simple as this. And ideally, a passage like this, which has 10 blanks, should not take you anything between, I don't think it should take you anything more than 2.5 minutes. So in 2.5 to 3 minutes, 10 questions correctly, wow, 20 marks in your bucket. Let's move ahead and let's go on to the next set of questions. Okay. Now, let us look at this set of questions, boys and girls. Question number 11 to 14. In the following 4 questions, choose the word opposite in meaning to the given word and mark it in the answer sheet. So we know this is a test of synonyms or antonyms. Any idea? Come on. Synonyms, antonyms. What are we checking here? We know synonyms are words that have the same meanings and antonyms are opposites. So we are checking antonyms here. Okay. Let's look at the first one, resist. We know the word resist means try and hold strong when you don't give up. Great. So Kirti said that yes. Okay. Devjan has a question. Devjan, quickly shoot. Looking forward to your question. Go ahead. Yes, a lot of you have said that yes, opposites are antonyms. Great. Adjust, decline. Ooh. None of them is the correct answer. The word resist means when you stand up, when you don't give in. It is like India, you know, even though the police were forcing them to yield, to give up, they resisted. Now, if you notice in this sentence, I gave the answer. They resisted even though they were being forced to yield. Yield, the word for option A, yield, means to give up. Therefore, the answer here is yield. Okay, a lot of you are saying decline and adjust for the answer, and that's a little disturbing. Why? Because adjust is when you make some changes, you agree with something, you don't agree with something. That is adjusting. So the word adjust comes somewhere midway between resist and yield, and here we are looking for the exact opposite. Decline is a complete refusal, which actually is in line with resist. Because you decline to yield, you resist. Therefore, the correct answer here is yield. Let's look at option number 12. Now, this question number 12 is elementary. We know elementary is something that is very, very simple. Elementary is another word for simple. So let's see what the antonym of elementary is. I'm waiting for some of you to answer the question. Question number 12, elementary, the antonym of elementary. The antonym of elementary. A lot of people say complex, and yes, complex is the correct answer. Hard means pretty much the same thing as complex, but hard would be the opposite for the simple word simple. Involved does not hold any sense here, and compound is a mixture of things. Therefore, compound will not make sense. They've just, see, I am repeating. Hard is the opposite of simple, and complex is the opposite of elementary. So without wasting any more time, let's go ahead to the next set of questions, which are extremely simple. I think so. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, so let's look at these 2 questions. Out of the 4 alternatives, choose the one which can be substituted for the words/sentences and indicated by blackening the appropriate circle in the answer sheet. And so this section is actually a test of your vocabulary. There are so many words you know. try and solve this question. An act of misappropriation of money. An act of misappropriation of money. I knew corruption would sound like the most obvious answer, but corruption is not the answer. Corruption does not always involve money. Sadly, the way our politicians behave this way, we think that corruption is only done with money. Now, let's actually look at the terms and see what they mean. The word debasement. Debasement is a practice when you try and lower the value of currency. So, okay, Devjan says he cannot understand the question. Devjan, if you look at question number 13, there is a phrase or a short sentence. In the question number 13, it being an act of misappropriation of money. All you have to do is replace the entire sentence by one word. From amongst the 4 options that are given, excuse me, debasement, corruption, and embezzlement. Look for the most appropriate option from amongst these 4 words that will be a complete replacement to the phrase or the clause mentioned above. Okay, now I was mentioning to you the word debasement. Debasement is the practice of lowering the value of currency. When you reduce the value, you practice you do something because of which the value of currency is reduced. Debasement would not be correct. Now, misconduct. Misconduct can be anything. Misconduct can be in terms of behavior. It could be in terms of money. So misconduct is usually a word that is used for behavior. Again, does not make sense. Now, the option that you say is one, corruption. And I say it is wrong. I'll tell you why. The word corruption means when you launder money, yes, you siphon money, yes, but what happens here is corruption can involve not only monetary gains, but it can also be in terms of means. It may not always be monetary, but it can be things which may lead to money. It can be material objects also. Whereas embezzlement is a word that specifically refers to doing money here and there, with doing something wrong with money, putting money at the wrong places, stealing money, siphoning money. Therefore, here the correct answer is embezzlement. Let's look at question number 14. What, in one word, how can we describe one person who does not make mistakes? A person who does not make mistakes. Now, illegible, the word illegible, the options here are illegible, invisible, inaudible, and infallible. Great, Tanvi, you have got the correct answer. The answer is infallible, because illegible is something that cannot be read. Invisible is something that we cannot see. Inaudible is something that we cannot hear. And infallible is a person who does not make mistakes. Therefore, I'm sure all of you are very clear with these questions. Without wasting any more time, let's move ahead. Okay. Now, question 15 and 16, let us see what we are expected to do in these 2 questions. In the following 2 questions, a sentence has been given in active or passive voice. Out of the 4 alternatives suggested, select the one which best expresses the same sentence in active or passive voice and mark your answer in the answer sheet. So what do we have to do? First, identify whether this is an active voice or passive voice, and depending on what it is, we have to convert it in the vice versa form. Which options actually does it? So before we even see which is the correct answer, I'm looking forward from you guys to tell me whether the sentence in question number 15 is an active voice or passive voice. I'm changing the question a little. Sentence number 15, is it an active voice or passive voice? Rajesh, you're trying to attempt the question, great, but why don't you first tell us whether it is an active voice or a passive voice? Okay, so Tanvi and Kirti are correct. The answer, the sentence here is in active voice because agreement is the subject and between and management. So we know that it is following the SVO category. Sentences, I'm sure all of you know that sentences which follow the subject verb object category are called active, and sentences which follow the object verb and subject category come under the passive voice. Okay, so now let us see what the correct answer is. And all of you say that the correct answer is B. An advisory board drafted the agreement between the management and the workers. Yes, the answer. Let's try and do the 16th question. Put up the tent. Put up the tent. Once again, my question to you is whether this is active voice or passive voice. Put up the tent. Sentence number 16. Active voice or passive voice, boys and girls? Put up the tent. Put up the tent. Okay, yes, the sentence put up the tent is in passive voice. Great. Okay, there is first the verb, then the subject. This sentence has no. Great. So what do you think is the answer to this question, the 16th one? The tent is being put. Let the tent be put up. The tent has been put up. Let the tent being put up. What do you think the correct answer to this is? The tent has been put up. I'm sorry, the tent has been put up will not be the correct answer. Sentence, if you look, is in present perfect tense. Has. Has means sentence is in present perfect tense, which would not be the correct answer because has means the action has just been completed. Whereas in the sentence itself, the instruction to put up the tent is being given. The tent is being put up would mean that it is in continuous tense, which again is not the case. We are putting up the tent. In that case, being would be used. So A and C are both not the answers. And yes, like Arnab says, B is the answer. Let the tent be put up. Why? I'll tell you exactly why. If you look at the 16th original sentence, put up the tent, it is like a command. It's a command that you're giving. It is an order. Now, if you read sentence number 2, let the tent be put up. It is being given in a more magnanimous way, in a more grand way. Therefore, the correct answer here is B, let the tent be put up. Okay, so without, I think, wasting any more time, we can move ahead to the next set of questions. Okay, the next set of questions is what we know as parajumbles, sentence jumbles. Great. So these are sentence jumbles. This is not a para-jumble. There is a small difference between sentence jumbles and para-jumbles. Para-jumbles when an entire paragraph has been jumbled. Sentences, a sentence is one in which parts of the sentence have been broken up. So this is the latter one, a jumbled sentence. Great. Let us read the instructions. In the following 2 questions, the first and the last part of the sentence are numbered 1 and 6. The good thing is the beginning and the end is defined, which means that we will know exactly what we are talking about. The sentence is split into 4 parts and named P, Q, R, and S. These 4 parts are not given in their proper order. Read the sentence and find out which of the 4 combinations is correct, and then mark your answer. So the Narmada project and of Indian society. The Narmada project is the definite beginning of the sentence, and of Indian society is definitely the end of the sentence. Now let us try and see what the answer to this question is. A lot of you are saying that the answer is C. And there are a couple of you who say that the answer to this is D. RPSQ. Boys and girls, the answer to this section is very D, RSPQ. Now let us see why. Now, the Narmada Dam project. We know exactly we are talking of the Narmada Dam project and of Indian society. It is something to do with the Indian society. That is how the sentence ends. Okay, sentence ends. The Narmada Dam project will displace some people, many of whom happen to belong to some of the most deprived sections of Indian society. Now, the Narmada Dam project will, what will the project do? If you look at your options, the phrase at marked as R tells us what the future of what future going to hold. It is therefore setting the base for the latter part of the sentence. The Narmada Dam project will displace some people. Now, who are those people? The next we have to see who are those people. Some people, many of whom. We are first telling what kind of people those are. Many of whom happen to belong to some of the most deprived sections of the Indian society. Therefore, yes, the answer to this question is D. Let's move on to the next question, which again is a jumble sentence. Okay. So, you know, television and of mass communication today is fixed. You have to find the arrangement of the other four phrases. You have to find the arrangement of the other four phrases. Anyone would like to try? Rajesh says A. Kirti says A. Anyone else? Arnab says PQRS, which is again A. I'm sorry, A is not the correct answer. A is not the correct answer. Let's see if anyone has another answer that they'd like to give. PQRS, that is A, and A is not the correct answer. The correct answer here is D. Let's read the sentence. Television, we know which is the first part. One of the marvels of modern science, the most powerful medium of communication today. I'm sorry, just has become is going to come at one place. That is my mistake. Yeah, that is the order for us. The order for us is D, that television, one of the marvels of modern science, has become the most powerful medium of mass communication today. So yes, like a lot of you are saying, Jennison asks why. Okay, Jennison, let's look at this step by step. You know, you are talking of television. Now, if you look at your options are has become the most powerful medium, one of the marvels of modern science. Now we know, and if we go by, yes, it is a tricky one, no doubt about it. Okay. Now, television, that is the subject of the sentence. Now, television, what is the television? Television is one of the marvels. Before you go to become, you say what something will do, what something has done. You have to establish that object. And television, the phrase one of the marvels, is helping us establish what a television is. So therefore, television, one of the marvels. The next one, of modern science. What gave birth to television is modern science. Television is a marvel of modern science. Therefore, television, one of the marvels of modern science. What has it done? It has gone to become, it has become the most powerful medium of communication today. Therefore, that is what the correct answer to this question is. Now, let's move ahead to the next question, boys and girls. Okay. In the following two questions, a part of the sentence is underlined. Given below are alternatives which may improve the sentence. So we know that something is wrong with the sentence, especially the that has been underlined. You have to find an appropriate option from amongst the four given, using which the sentence will be correct. Rajesh says the answer is D. Anyone else? Arnab says D. Anyone else would like to try the question? As it is, yes, Arnab, that is exactly what option number D says. And yes, yes, Daddy, your answer is not hopefully, but definitely correct this time. And the answer to this is D, as it was. The answer here is as it was. Because we know this is a consequence of something that is happening in the first part. What is happening in the former part of the latter part of the sentence is because of what is happening here. Therefore, as it was a wet day, he stayed at home. Okay, let's look at the next one, the 20th one. I shall write to you when I reach Agra. Our four options are would write to you, no improvement, will write to you, should write to you. So let's see for question number 19. What do you think the answer is? Looking forward to your answers, guys. Really simple. You can't afford to take so long. In that, you cannot afford to take so long. Okay. A lot of you are saying D. Jennison is saying D. Kirti is saying D. And I'm just wondering, why are you guys saying D? I shall write to you. I will write to you. Not a lot of difference. I would write to you. I should write to you. Okay, a lot of you are saying C. I will write to you. Explain the difference between would and will. Okay, I will go ahead and explain the difference between some modals to you. Before I even explain the difference between and would, I will explain the difference between shall and will. Shall and will, we know, are both used in future tense. Now, what is the difference between them? Shall is used for an action that will hopefully happen, whereas will is used for something that will definitely happen. Let me repeat, shall, boys and girls, is used in a case when something might happen. Let us say, I shall go for a movie today evening. But if I have booked tickets already to go for a movie today evening, I will say, I will go for a movie today evening. So therefore, shall and will both correct in tense depending on the nature of the action is. Now, someone had just asked the difference between will and would. Now, will shows determination. It shows that this will happen, I will do this. Like a lot of you must have promised yourself in the beginning of the year as a resolution that you will clear the SSC exam. That is surety, that is determination, that is where we use will. But would is used in a couple of places, one of them being request. Would you please do this to me? Like a lot of you, when you ask me questions, you say, ma'am, would you please explain this to me? And would is also used in tense. Like a lot of you may say, I would have cleared the exam last year if I had studied hard. So just like will expresses surety of action in the future, would expresses surety of something that would have happened if you had done something else. Therefore, that, boys and girls, is what is the difference between will and would and will and shall. So I hope that is clear to you. With that, let's come back to our question. So our answer here actually is B. No improvement is required in the sentence. The sentence is correct in itself, because I shall write to you when I reach Agra would mean that I will write to you, I may write to you, I may not write to you. I will write to you would mean definitely I will write to you. I should write to you is like a compulsion, that I should write to you once I reach Agra. I would write to you would grammatically be incorrect here. Therefore, the answer would be no improvement is required at all. So without wasting any more time, I think let's move on to the next set of questions. Okay, in the following two questions, sentences, and there are, so we know this is the simple fill in the blank exercise. Two sentences, blanks, you have to fill them up. Let's look at the 21st one. Take dash your health. Once again, prepositions of, about, for, and over. Of course, this is an absolute winner, extremely simple, and like all of you have got it out there, the answer to this is take care of your health. Great. Let's look at the next one. Second one. Speeding car dash a man this morning. I repeat, the speeding car dash a man this morning. Our options are out, his about, knocked down, pushed out. Okay, someone says the answer here is C, knocked down. A lot of you have said A. Now I will tell you why A is not the correct answer. If you look at your options, boys and girls, it is the speeding car hit out a man. I'm sorry, if the preposition out was not there, hit would be correct. The speeding car hit a man this morning. But because this is a prepositional phrase here, a verb and a preposition together, out does not make sense in this context. Therefore, this option is eliminated. Next, we know the speeding car his about a man this morning does not make sense. The speeding car knocked down. A commonly used phrase in colloquial English, when someone hits somebody, someone falls down, you say knocked down. A term used a lot in boxing also, that knocked down, he was knocked out. A lot of you follow a lot of sports, so you will often hear the phrase, if you watch news or read the newspaper, that a certain sportsman was knocked out of the tournament. A certain country was knocked out after they played this. So knocked out is when you're put out of a certain group. Knocked down is when you fall down on the application of external force. Therefore, the answer to this is knocked. I hope this is clear to all of you. So let's move on to the last three questions for the day. Okay, in the following three questions, 4 alternatives are given to the phrase and choose the alternative which best expresses the meaning of the idiom or the phrase and mark it in the answer sheet. Okay, so simple. Once again, a test of vocabulary to see how well you understand phrases and idioms. Now, if you read the sentence smartly, wisely, contextual vocabulary can play a very, very important role in helping you to understand the meaning of the sentence. And I think a lot of you have actually cracked it. I can see Trapti, Rajesh have given the correct answer. The correct answer is seem logical. This argument does not hold water. This argument does not seem logical. Let's look at the 24th one now, boys and girls. The trans school boy told cock and bull stories to escape punishment. Now, even before you ask me, let me tell you what the word truant means. The word truant is an absentee, a child who regularly misses school. I know a lot of you must be thinking of your college days when a lot of us actually missed college. So we were all truants that time. Okay, so coming back to the sentence. The truant schoolboy told cock and bull stories to escape punishment. And yes, Trapti has got the correct answer. The answer is absurd and unbelievable. The boy told unbelievable, weird stories that would just not sound correct, unrealistic. Great. Let's look at the last question for the day. Rohini reached the examination hall in the nick of time. So what does the phrase nick of time mean? Now here the options are very close. Just in time, just after time, just before time. And I'm looking for some correct answers. And yes, a couple of you have got the correct answer. The correct answer is A, just in time. Now, this is a good opportunity for me to tell you the difference between these three phrases of just in time, just after time, just before time. Let us say, okay, we all know that the session starts at 6 o'clock. Now, let us say if one of you joined the session exactly at 5:59 or 6 o'clock, you can say you were there at nick of time, you were just there in time. But if one of you joins the session, let us say at 6:03, 6:04, 6:05, you can say you were just after time. And if one of you joins the session as 5:55, 5:56, you were there just before time. So I hope I have been able to clearly explain these questions to you and get across to you the kind of questions that are actually asked in the real SSC CHSL paper. Now, boys and girls, if you notice, the questions are extremely, extremely simple. It's just about keeping your cool, maintaining your calm, and doing your paper. If you do that, about 70 minutes of bang-on concentration, solving anything about 80 to 85 questions with 85 to 90% accuracy should not be difficult at all. I know some of the questions here will take some time, some will take less time, but attempt your questions wisely. A question like close passage, if you see, boys and girls, you may spend about 2.5 to maximum 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, you are solving questions, which means on an average of 33 seconds, you are solving one question, which is a great average. Questions like vocabulary and fill in the blanks are again really simple because you just have to, just read the option. You don't have to analyze. You read the sentence right away. You know it, you know it. You don't know it, don't know it. So if you know it, tick mark, move overhead. If you don't know it, do not take the risk. So I hope, boys and girls, today's session was helpful to you. You got some tips that have to be kept in mind for the session, and the kind of questions that we discussed will help you to clear the exam that some of you might have written. I'm hoping all of you will be writing. So good luck. All of you writing a great exam. Good luck, do well, and qualify. Take care. Bye-bye.